Welcome back, John Morris Show on a Friday, and our World Cup aficionado, Paul Jobson, is here. World traveler, Renaissance man, all those things. We missed you last Friday. We didn't have a show. You couldn't be here. We didn't do a show last Friday.
Well, I appreciate that.
On the 3rd of July.
I think the World Cup still was going on though.
It was, I know, but you weren't here and you weren't available because
so you just canceled the whole show.
Yeah, we canceled the whole show.
I can see why.
Isn't that right, Garrett? Paul couldn't be here.
Had
We're
nothing
not doing
to
a
do
show.
with
Absolutely.
Celebrating 250 years.
It was
and
all
that.
you,
all
man. It was all about you.
Appreciate that.
But glad you're back. And your family trip, you were telling us 2 weeks ago to Spain. How was that?
It was a great trip. It was a family trip. Obviously, we all went. We had family that was there.
Yeah.
So there were probably, there's 6 of us. So there were probably about 15 of us over there. We have family that lived there. But great trip. It was fun. We got to watch World Cup games. Obviously, they were here, but the Tour de France kicked off in Barcelona while we were there.
Yeah.
And I am not a cycling fan, but one of the greatest sporting events in the world.
Yeah.
And we got to witness that.
Wow.
Really amazing athletes and just an amazing event. I mean, it was and we're just pedestrians. It was free. You walk up, see things, the fan environment, really well done, and just a really cool thing to experience for the family. It was a bonus. We didn't really even know that was kind of going on until we'd planned the trip.
You sure it wasn't the Tour de Espanol?
Well,
it was the Tour de France.
They ended up in France, I think. I don't know how it all works, but they did a couple stages in Barcelona through Spain, and then ended their way up there.
Yeah,
in another country, which is
countries. Countries in Europe. There are like counties here.
Yeah, it's basically like I think going from Texas to like Northern California or something like that. And I think the people who came to visit us have experienced how big the United States really is. Yeah, like, oh my gosh, I got in a car. We're just going to drive to I could have gone through 3 different countries.
That's true.
Back from where I'm from. So, but yeah, it was a great trip. A lot of fun. Got to experience a lot with our kids about having experiences and building memories and having family time. So. It was fantastic.
That's cool. Very
good,
cool.
But good to be back on home soil.
What was the appetite for the World Cup in Barcelona, Spain?
It was, everybody's watching it. Right. I mean, it's on, it's later there when it's on, but it's on, it's there. The interesting thing in Barcelona is it's Catalan. So if you know history, they broke away. Well, Spain took them over. Okay. So there's still a little hostility there. So even when Spain would win a big match, there wasn't a lot of celebrating in Catalan. But the Moroccan fans were excited when Morocco would win. The English fans, there are a lot of those there too, were excited when England would win. But I mean, soccer is life. And the thing that my kids took away that they said they loved the most was there's a soccer court probably 3 blocks from my brother-in-law's condo, and every day there's just soccer going on. Wow. So I think 3 different nights we walked down there about 7:00 at night. The boys just played pickup soccer, and Marcy, of course, played pickup soccer with the folks there.
That's
and
great.
it was just, that was their favorite part. It's like, hey, Dad, we just get to walk down and play soccer with these guys that we can't really even communicate with.
How about that?
For the most part. It was great. It was fantastic.
Very international.
Yeah.
And I would guess, with the World Cup going on right now, that's front page, that's top story and on everybody's mind for a long time too. The length of this really stretches out.
Yeah, it's a long tournament. It's super exciting. We had an event for the club last night, and yesterday was the first day of the entire tournament where there were no games. Oh, and everybody was going through withdrawals. It's like we've been watching soccer every day for a month now, and we didn't know what to do today. Yeah, it's like I think I had to get some work done. But it's been everybody's even folks who like me with the Tour de France. It's similar. I was telling my boys, it's similar with soccer. Right now is a time where people who are not soccer fans are really getting engaged and falling in love with different, I'll call them characters, different players, different teams. They have their team, and then they'll go into hiding for another 4 years and be back. But it's a really exciting time. It really has taken over. Obviously in Europe, it's culturally, it's a huge thing, and getting bigger here, which has been really fun to watch this year. And being on our home soil helps too,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Right. Well, fun to watch. USA has bowed out. The loss to Belgium, 4-1 loss. It really wasn't close, was it?
No, and Belgium's a really good team, but at the same time, bad day to have a bad day. Yeah. Really, we didn't perform well. As excited as I was at the beginning of the tournament, or how we were showing, our attack looked really good early on in the tournament. We hit a buzzsaw. Our opponents weren't some of the best opponents to begin with. We got a good start. Belgium's a really good team, and again, it's a bad day to have a bad day. You need to be, at your best, when you're playing the best. And Belgium is a good team. They're going to have a tough go later today when they play Spain, I think, but they're a good team. And I can't say that they earned all 4 of those goals.
Yeah.
I mean, they did, but we gave those away. They're all mistakes that we made that they capitalize on. And any coach will tell you that you play a good team, they will capitalize on mistakes and you will be punished. So we really kind of fed ourselves that loss, I think, and really showed our weakness defensively.
Yeah.
And to conversely on that, the team who's I think now favored is Spain. They've not given up a goal the entire tournament. So while they're known to be a very attacking team historically, have really solidified their defense, have now become somebody who's really has a great chance to win this tournament. So the U.S., while I think we made some progress, I think we maybe overhyped ourselves a little bit.
Really?
So as Americans, I think we have these expectations we
Oh,
put
that
on
never
ourselves.
happens,
I
no.
know I'm making that all up, but we just didn't meet the expectations we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
So are we where we need to be? I think we can be better. I think we showed that we can be better. I think we've just got to figure out what consistency looks like. And, you can say that maybe the locker room was distracted with the whole red card thing and all that, whatever. But as a professional playing at that level, you just can't have those distractions.
Did that end up kind of backfiring the whole, or just shifted the focus, I guess, with the red card deal?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the locker room.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they handled it. I'm a optimist by nature, and I think before the game, I thought, hey, this could be something that maybe brings them together. I think what it did is it brought Belgium together.
Yeah,
I think it gave them
so
something to
too.
fight for.
Right.
More than just the game itself. I think from our side, it was probably a distraction. You got a guy who you didn't think was playing, so you got other guys who are getting ready to play, and then they don't get to play. And I don't know how the locker room handled it. I would hope as professionals they could handle it better. But at the end of the day, when you step across that line, everything else has to go away, and you have to perform at a really, really high level. And they weren't able to do it.
You talk about mistakes. That one goal that USA gave Belgium when the goalie came out too far. I mean, that was just bad, wasn't it? And it was really deflating. I felt like at that point, maybe that made it 3-1.
Yeah.
This is over.
Yeah, I think we were obviously in Spain, and I think at that point I went to bed. It was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like all excited. My boys
knew how this was going to end, right?
We're like trying to stay awake. And I said, I think we can come back. And then that
Did your
happened.
boys stay up late to watch?
Oh yeah.
Did they?
Yeah. And we were coming back the next day, so it didn't really matter. But it was deflating.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, you're right. I think you saw the heads go down, with everybody, and it was very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Pulisic getting hurt and having to go out, that sure didn't help.
Yeah, and he's caught some heat for that.
Really?
Some of the former players, like I think it was Landon Donovan, who tough player that played for the United States for a long time. And then Carly Lloyd on the women's side, who's a commentator. They both kind of ripped him for like, hey, this is the World Cup.
Yeah.
Your ankle hurts. But he had a very disappointing tournament. He's supposed to be the marquee guy for the United States. He didn't score a goal. And I think he's battled some injuries and things like that. But it really wasn't a big force for us this year.
Right.
So again, at the end of the day, the players that need to show up, big players show up in big games, and he wasn't able to do that this year.
If I remember right, first time we had you on this year, I said, what's the best case scenario for USA? How far could they go? And I think you said round of 16, maybe quarterfinal. Yeah. So they were right there. I mean, they made it to the round of 16. Yeah. Which is pretty much, I think, where most people had them pegged, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right where it was at. And I think, like I said, as they showed really well in the beginning, I think we put a higher expectation. Yeah, like, oh man, maybe we can go further.
Right.
And the marketing things were, do you believe in miracles and the ads and the, you get excited and the hype should be there. It's an exciting time. But I think if there's not disappointment, then there's a bigger problem. And we want more for our people. We want to be the best at everything we do. And I think the soccer community in America wants to show what we can really do. And I think we're moving in the right direction. We're just a huge country. It's a crazy, the youth environment development if you get online and start looking at that, you'll see 100 different opportunities for opinion in that realm of how we get to the next place.
Yeah. So World Cup for USA is done.
Yes.
Do they now train and prepare for the World Cup in 4 years? Are there obviously other tournaments between now and then?
Yeah. So these guys will get a bit of a break. I mean, they'll go back with their professional teams. We forget sometimes these guys play, year round professionally.
Yeah.
So they'll go back with their clubs, and then there'll be a little bit of a break, and then the coaches will reassess and start to put together some camps as they prepare for, qualifying again, another 4 years. But the focus now for U.S. soccer is on the women. The Women's World Cup is next summer in Brazil.
Okay.
And so, that's an exciting thing as we get to now turn our focus onto the next thing after this tournament, right? I mean, this has been a fantastic World Cup. It's been so much fun. It's been awesome. But from a United States perspective, now the focus becomes, okay, now what can our women do next year?
I want to talk about the women. Garrett and I have questions for you about that.
Okay.
But you said Spain's the team to beat now, not France. You don't think France is the team to beat?
I mean, I think you could go either way on that.
Yeah.
I mean, France looks great. They looked great yesterday in their match. When you've got Mbappe and Dembele, and they're so deep.
Right.
I mean, this tournament was about depth, and they have it. Yeah. They have the depth. They're going to be really hard.
It's one of the things USA didn't have.
We don't have depth.
Yeah.
Now you start making subs, and it's tough. But France has depth. Spain has depth, and I think those two teams are probably the teams to beat. The Cinderella story, so to speak, might be Norway.
Yeah.
They're so fun to watch.
Right.
With Holland, he's kind of become a celebrity type figure. But they go against England. But I think Spain's a team to beat. I think they're the most consistent when it comes to player per player. They've not given up a goal the entire tournament. Wow. But they're still scoring goals. On the other hand, France is scoring a ton of goals. But they have some tendencies to give up some goals through the tournament. So it's exciting. But I'm pushing for Spain.
Can you imagine if we were sitting here talking and U.S. had won over Belgium and they were getting set to play Spain this afternoon in Los Angeles? What the excitement level would be?
Oh, it would be incredible.
Exactly.
So much excitement, and just the energy around the stadium and what was going on. And I think everybody knowing you're probably walking into a loss. Probably, I know I'm a naysay. I said I was an optimist, right? And then I go say something like that.
You're a realist.
I'm a realist. But so exciting. I think we talked about once before the difference from 16 to 8 and 8 to 4 is just drastic. And you're starting to see that. And I think that's where if the U.S. had put together a quality match against Belgium and had made this next round, I think you'd have seen another level there. But another thing we haven't talked about is Belgium's a good team. We've never beaten Belgium. Do you know that? We have never beaten Belgium.
I did not know that.
So there's a matchup thing there too. Not to poke the bear a little bit, but when that was us against Texas Tech. Yeah. And we were coaching at Baylor. They had a hard time beating us.
Right.
It's matchups. And there were teams like Kansas who we had a hard time beating. But you look at that too, looking at Belgium, we have a hard time with Belgium. We've actually never beaten them.
They were, to me, just watching that match, and I watched almost the whole thing. I was into it. My wife was into it. Wow. Now that shows the reach of the World Cup. If Terry wants to, she said, let's watch this soccer match.
Oh, yeah.
So we watched almost the whole thing. And they just had an air of confidence. I think that, and the announcer said it at one point, just a European, nation that they all grow up doing this, and they just have that confidence, don't they?
Confidence, and I think something to prove based on the circumstances they're walking into too.
Yeah,
so
true.
We had a lot of things going against us.
Right. All right, USA is out. World Cup continues. Women's World Cup is next year. Yep. Garrett and I had a question. Okay. It seems like that women's at this level, the U.S. national women's team has been better, has been more consistent, has won more than the men's team, historically speaking. Is that true?
It is true. I mean,
why is that?
The women have 4 World Cup championships.
Yeah.
It was funny. One of my boys was wearing a U.S. jersey the other day in Spain. And he goes, why are there 4 stars on here? We haven't won 4 World Cups. I'm like, think about it. Why do you think there's 4? He's like, oh, yeah, this is the women's jersey.
That's great.
The reason is this. The women's game started after the men's game, right? The men's game has been played for hundreds of years.
Right.
Women were introduced to sport later.
Yeah.
They were introduced first in the U.S. So we got a jump start on Europe in the women's game. It wasn't supported in Europe until recently.
Yeah.
So we got a head start, women's college soccer, Title IX, all those things helped the growth of women's soccer in the United States, and we became the world leaders. And then everybody else was working to catch up with us, which is the opposite on the men's side. We were behind in getting to that, and now we're catching up with the world. So that's I think the reason for the difference is we got a head start. I think what we have to watch for on the women's side is it's getting more difficult. The rest of the world is catching up. Professional leagues for the women in Europe and overseas, they're developing their women. They're spending money. They're really doing a great job. I would argue that Europe is doing a better job of developing young women than we are now. And I really think that we have to be careful because we're going to lose it. We're going to lose our edge if we don't kind of watch our back. So
I got you. How much part of that is American colleges maybe recruiting overseas, bringing those girls here, get a lot of training here, play, collegiately. Then they go back to their home country.
Yeah, for a while, I think that was the case. I think that helped them. But what has happened in Europe is the women have now adopted the same model that the men have.
I got you.
So the academies, they're not having to go to the United States anymore. And to be fair, the academies and the way that that's done in Europe is really a better developmental model than the college system.
I got you.
The college system really is not a developmental model in the true sense of it. When you look at, you get 160 days out of 365 days to train. You don't develop with that. So it's really on the individual. Now, years ago, that was the best anybody had.
Yeah.
So you have something is better than nothing. Right. But now, on the women's side in Europe, these academies that the men have trained in for generations, the women now have access to that. And that is now a better, I think, training model to develop young players into professionals than what if we're relying on the college system to do that, we're in trouble on its own. If that's all it won't do it. Yeah. The world will catch up. And we're starting to see here the professional model, the NWSL and some of these other leagues starting some of these academies as well here. So I like to see that evolution, not to knock the college game, but unless we change the college model and how it's played, it won't be a developmental piece for the future growth.
I got you. Garrett?
Is that even more crucial now, given the current landscape of college athletics, where we're seeing the non-revenue sports having more of an uphill climb, giving the money going more towards football and basketball? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because, as these kids, if we're starting these academies and there's opportunities professionally overseas, why wouldn't a young person just go to Europe and play?
Right.
And we've seen some of that over the last couple of years. We've seen some young women, skip college. We've seen a few of those who've gone straight to the pros, or they're growing up in Europe, or they're just leaving to go to Europe to do some of that. It's not as prevalent as you see on the men's side, but I think we'll start to see more of that. They're going to have more choices. And to be honest, the academic side of it has become easier, right? With online learning and, things like that makes the education piece still accessible. And I think that's something that Europe is starting to do really well too, is, instead of just football or soccer, they're giving some educational opportunities too. So there's some give and take. But yeah, I do think that the current college landscape is going to affect that as well.
That's a great question. Yeah. Great info.
Just keep him around.
He's great. Thank you. All right, give us your winners. No wagering, please. Spain over Belgium today.
Yes, Spain over Belgium.
Okay. Tomorrow, Norway, England.
Oh man, that's so hard.
Does the ride continue?
All my England friends would be so mad at me if I say Norway. But Norway's they're kind of a little bit of the underdog.
They are.
England always seems to shoot themselves in the foot somehow or another. So I'm gonna go with Norway on that one. Sorry guys. Sorry, my England friends.
Bit of an upset there. Yeah. Norway, England, and then Argentina and Switzerland play tomorrow also.
I think Argentina is going to take that handily. I hope. They've had some ups and downs. They've not been really consistent. I mean, the game against Egypt, they're down 2-0, have to fight back to win 3-2.
Yeah,
they have the talent, they have the ability. Yeah. But they just got if they put the pieces together, they should be the better team. Yeah. And I'm just a huge Messi fan, and I want him to go out on top with another championship before he retires.
That's great. Yeah. All right, those are the teams that are left, and that is high level international soccer.
This is where it gets really good.
Yeah,
really good.
Like every one of those teams that's still playing is really good.
I think every one of them has an opportunity to win right now. Yeah, I think Switzerland's probably on the outside looking in a little bit, but I mean, if they can upset Argentina, they're going to ride a ton of momentum with that kind of victory. And I think that's where you look at it with these last couple of games. You win this game, you're running on adrenaline and momentum. Yeah. And anything can happen at this point.
So your prediction would be that the final four would be Argentina and Norway and Spain and France.
Those are the four.
How about those matchups?
Yeah. I mean, this is where it gets
good. That's great.
These are the heavyweights.
In my limited knowledge, I know those are great matchups.
Heavyweights, and this is what you want to see. And I think, it's what FIFA wants, right? FIFA wants these teams in the championships. But that's what we want to see is the heavyweights.
Cool, very good.
Knockout.
Great information. Thank you very much. No wagering, please, on Coach Jobson's info there. Are you back on Central Time? Did it take a few days? You were gone a week, weren't you?
We're gone a week. We're gone a week. It didn't take too long. The first day you wake up really early in the morning because your cycle is off and you go to bed really early.
Right.
But there's no rest for the weary. You got to get back at it.
Get going.
You know, got to wake up for World Cup games.
That's right. On at a more palatable time
That's
back
right.
here, right?
Yeah,
For you.
absolutely.
Very cool. Well, thanks very much. Well, we'll negotiate about next Friday if
Okay.
you want to. I mean,
Okay.
would we be to the Final Four by then, or
Yeah, I
maybe
think
even
so.
playing into those
I think we
semifinals?
might be playing at that point. I got to look at I got to get through today. I got to
Right.
Spain.
I know, but we'll negotiate on that. Very good. Thank you very much for coming in. Great
Thanks
to
for
see you.
having me.
Glad you had a great trip with your family.
Great. Thank you.
That's always fun. Tell Marcy hello.
I will.
Tell her we talked women's national
She says
soccer.
to tell you hello, by the way.
Thank you for that.
She's like, I don't get to hang out with J-Mo. I was like, maybe we can work something out.
Okay. Bring her with you next time.
Okay.
That would guarantee you coming back if you'd bring Marcy.
Yeah,
with
that's
you.
true. That's true. Not having to ask permission to leave the house, right?
Paul Jobson, our World Cup aficionado. We appreciate his information and intellect and sharing with us also. But again, no wagering, please.
No.
We don't want people going out on that.
No.